Everybody now on a live stream, including Jeremy, can see what is the usual YouTube Creator Studio dashboard. And this is where you would find all your analytics. You can see on the left-hand side all the usual things. But as a video creator, and as YouTube want to try and upgrade their metrics, they're adding an entirely new analytics environment ecosystem, and most of you should have this YouTube Studio beta button at the bottom here. And if you click on this, and if you want to follow through on your own screen, absolutely go for it. It should take you to, I would say, a radical new look. Maybe a little daunting. Jeremy, what were your sort of first thoughts when we discovered the Studio beta screen and all its analytics?
My first initial thoughts were I was afraid that YouTube was really going to just kind of dumb down everything for us. But then I kind of got over that, and honestly, my thoughts now are, it seems really intuitive, like the way they name things, and the layout is pretty clean. I'm digging it right now.
Yeah, I think it's been around. It's been lurking in the background now for what seems like 12 months, and they haven't really done anything significant with it for a long time. But all of a sudden, they announced they were going to bring these new metrics. But along with these new metrics, they've brought in some new layout as well, and it looks really interesting. And that's what we're going to dive into pretty much straight away. I'm just checking my notes here to, make sure that we're covering everything. I should say that this is still in beta. So potentially, depending on how large your channel is, you may not have these options yet. They're not really available in the mobile app at the moment yet, although I'm sure that they're bringing these new metrics in soon to the mobile app, but it usually rolls out to different users at different times. And there's also, importantly, a missing features list here, which is starting to shrink, but there's still some significant ones there. I mean, Jeremy, which are the ones that you're still disappointed that we can't get in the beta area?
I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't even see a creator being able to really use this besides just looking at some analytic data.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you can't make a playlist or have go live, and a lot of other things under the More tab, then it's just really not a powerful tool yet.
Yeah, so it still feels a bit like a passive experience. You can look at numbers perhaps in a new way, but we're not quite there yet to do the full transition. You obviously have a bit of insider YouTube knowledge. Do you know when they may be switching to these new analytics at this point, or do you think we're still months, potentially even years away from this being the stock analytic experience?
Yeah, I don't know when. Even if we did, we couldn't tell you. But personally, I think they're taking a very serious step with the new analytics they're putting out, and everything in the news is with this new platform. It's not on the old platform. So my thoughts are, hopefully in the next half year or so, you're going to start seeing more features, and they're all going to be on this new platform.
Yeah. So let's dive deep into some of these analytics. As you saw when I first clicked on the Creator Studio button, it sent me to the video page first, which personally I'm not a fan of. I would always be wanting to see my entire channel analytics, but that's where we end up to begin with. So if we click on the analytics page, and do bear with me, it may be a little slow to load up some of these pages as we are live streaming, but eventually you should be presented with a graph that looks like this. And I think the immediate thing to notice is, what's the first analytic that YouTube gives you? It's watch time. You used to be able to see watch time, views, and subscribers all on the same graph, but they've kind of switched out the format here, where they're showing you watch time, then you have to click on this tab to see views, then you have to click on this tab to see subscribers. Any thoughts there, Jeremy, on combining all of the analytics together and the fact that watch time is the most prominent one?
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise, right? If you really follow YouTube and what they're all about getting eyeballs to watch content longer, and that's where ad revenue gets better for them. So it's really no surprise. I think vanity metrics are really becoming a vanity metric. Who cares how many people watched your videos? What matters to YouTube is how long they watched your videos.
That's an interesting term you just used there, vanity metrics. Could you maybe explain that a bit more for us?
Sure. So a vanity metric is just something that looks pretty, it
Yeah.
sounds really cool, but it doesn't really matter.
Awesome. Yeah. So like you could have maybe 10 million views, but if each view is worth 1 second, then that's kind of irrelevant, isn't it? And
Exactly.
like having 100,000 subscribers, but only 1% of those subscribers watch your content, they're all dead subscribers. So interesting piece of jargon there, folks. If you want to remember it, is vanity metrics. I love that. So if we just scroll down here a little bit more in the overview section, it shows you top videos with watch time. Some of these boxes are clickable, so if I click on top videos, it will give me a list of how many videos is it going to put up. Oh, it looks as if it's bringing up plenty there, at least 50, I would say, of videos with the most watch time. And on the right hand side here, this still continues to be one of personally my favorite metrics, although it's a little dumbed down here. It's a real time stats bar, but it's done over the last 48 hours. So these graphs here indicate each view count per hour rather than per minute. And then it shows you the most popular videos from the last 48 hours. I would see that as a bit of a remission at the moment. I feel as if the real-time stats bar on YouTube Analytics is a lot more detailed, and you can sort by geography, and you can sort by what else, the device that you're playing back on. I'm a big fan of real-time analytics, Jeremy. But are you of a similar love for such metrics?
You know, I hate to be such a vidIQ fanboy, but I really like just looking at views per hour.
Yes.
Because if I know what the average views per hour is, then it's kind of like people doing the stock market. You have day traders, and then you have people like in it for the long term. I'm in YouTube for the long term. I would much rather see 100 videos get 10,000 views each for 1 million views than one or two videos getting 1 million views. So I like that long term philosophy in YouTube. So when I know what my average views per hour is, I'm good. I can figure out what I'm doing right and wrong.
Yeah. What Jeremy's talking about here is there is usually a metric in the top right here where our real-time stats bar is, and we'll talk a little bit more about why you don't see any of the vidIQ metrics yet in the beta area. I just see Tom Nash there. He said, "Is that Jeremy Vest from VidPow?" Yes, it is. Do you want to just give everybody a wave here, Jeremy, if you can? Oh, maybe not. That's just gone to an infinity screen.
Whoa, we're in the Matrix.
We might leave the on-camera bits to the end. But yes, it is Jeremy Vest from VidPow. Tom, thanks for asking. Okay, what I've also noticed with these new metrics, at the top here, we have these new tabs, and I think this feels like a bit of a game changer in the beta studio. It feels to me like this is the YouTube journey that each video creator goes on. We'll quickly go through these and then go back to the important ones. Reach viewers is how your video is surfaced on YouTube with impressions, click-through rate, and unique viewers. And we'll get back to that in a lot more detail in a couple of minutes. But once obviously a viewer has clicked on your video, then it's how long are they interested in that particular video. So it moves on to the next metric, watch time, average view duration. And then when you have some views, you want to be able to divide that up into who watched that content. So we have demographics here of gender, age, and top countries. So I feel as if this is as Jeremy's probably going to allude to now, a really intuitive way of showing video creators how their videos are being surfaced, watched, and then who's watching them. What do you think there, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, just look at the nomenclature at the top: reach viewers, interest, build an audience, earn revenue. It's almost like someone at YouTube is actually had a lot of common sense and thought put into the back end. And I'm not trying to make fun of YouTube by any means. They're awesome. But this is amazing. Like, just seeing the new direction they're headed for these analytics just seem so intuitive to me. How do I earn revenue? Boom, I'm going to click there.
Yeah.
How should I build an audience? I'm going to look at those metrics. It's beautiful. I'm really excited about the way they're naming things now.
Yeah. So fewer control features then. As usual, you can mouse over different parts of a graph to give you a data point for a specific day. You can change metrics up here to the last 90 days lifetime. No calendar view. Is there a calendar there? No calendar view there yet. So as you can see, there's still a couple of features missing. But one feature that has been added, and this is probably the one that we're going to be covering for a significant portion of this live stream now, is reach viewers. I did a detailed video last week about impressions and click-through rate, but they've taken it to a whole new level yet again. So I've already done my efforts of explaining these metrics. So Jeremy, over to you. Give me your thoughts, and if you need me to send me anywhere on the screen, just let me know and I'll click for you.
Yeah, so reach viewers. So this is really cool. So what is an impression? An impression is how many times people see your video in discoverability. So discoverability could be on the right hand side in suggested videos. It could be through search. It could be on the main YouTube page where maybe your videos are showing up. It could actually be from an email where people, possibly can see your thumbnails or get a recap, which that they don't do that as much as they used to. But basically, when an impression is when people see your thumbnail or your title, and a view is when people click from the thumbnail title to your video and it starts playing. So if you scroll up just a little bit, I love this funnel. I'd love to show that,
this one
that
here.
funnel.
Yeah.
So you see that in the last 28 days, our channels had 1.4 million impressions and 145,000 views. What's interesting about that is I've always thought, just being a nerd and not really having a lot of data behind this, is you're going to capture a good thumbnail and a good title is going to capture about 10%. Most people's or biggest organic source of traffic on YouTube is in the suggested bar. So if there's 10 or 20 thumbnails over there and you're capturing 10% of the time, that's pretty good, so
Yeah.
1.4 to 145,000 views. I think that's pretty good to know. That, in my opinion, besides crafting videos people want to consume and having a lot of watch time on those, I believe that good titles and thumbnails have always and will always be the most important aspect of being a good YouTube creator. Having good content people want to consume is a given, but beyond that, I honestly think not only do a lot of us, me and Rob and a lot of the people in the industry believe this, but it looks like YouTube believes this as well. And this is why I think they're going this way in these new graphics.
Yeah.
And
sorry, go ahead. Anything else?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to add some things here that now you may see this funnel and think 145 views, 145,000 views, 1.4 million impressions. Doesn't that mean that it should be a 10% click-through rate? And the answer to that is the number of impressions here is the minimum number of impressions that your thumbnail will be seen, because YouTube doesn't register all of the times that your thumbnail could be seen, whether it be... I looked at the list before and it doesn't... An impression is not counted when it's through an external link or it's through an email. So there are some caveats to how this works. If I click, I think, on this question mark here, it does give you a breakdown of when those impressions count, but my computer may not be fast enough. There we go. What is an impression? So yeah, so you can see here where impressions are sometimes not registered. So don't take these impressions completely by fact. There are still other things working on in the background that you possibly don't have the access to, and YouTube may not even be able to correctly register these. So you have to think of it as impressions on the YouTube platform directly. That's just something I wanted to add there. And later on, we can see some metrics here of our funnel where we have, if you show here on the information bar, it actually shows you the distribution of those impressions and the Come on, is it going to keep working? There we are. So when you see the orange bar, that's when YouTube is trying to push your content to an audience. And the grey bar represents when viewers are trying to find your content through search. So going back to what Jeremy said about thumbnails and titles being really important and helping surface the content, ideally you want this bar to be as much over to the right as possible, which indicates that YouTube is sharing your content more. And I've got a brilliant example of this later on, but we'll come back to that. So yeah, is there anything else about this funnel, or maybe how watch time can affect click-through rates and impressions, Jeremy, that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, the longer your content is watched,
Yeah,
the more likely YouTube is to give you more recommendations and push the discoverability of your content. So another thing about this chart, a lot of people get really weird and very specific, like, oh, that's wrong because it's not showing external views
yeah,
embedded
exactly,
on a website. Use this as a guide. It's
Absolutely.
not science, right? It's not perfect,
Yeah,
but it's close. And guess what? If this goes up every month and you're making changes, then you're doing better, right? And if it goes down, you're doing worse. So don't take this as like the truth and everything is perfect, but it is absolutely a much cooler tool. For those of us in the industry that had to do this without this knowledge, I've literally for the last 4 years been spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month doing view through rate and click through rate testing on Facebook and on YouTube AdWords. So I've spent probably $50,000 or $60,000 for my customers to create tools like this, just because this information is so important.
yeah. Now, if let's do like a mock audit, perhaps, of vidIQ here. Now, the metrics here on vidIQ are a little unusual. You probably won't find these metrics similar on yours because, like, we have browse features higher up and suggested videos, and this is because some of our content is shared to users outside of YouTube. But if we were going to try and do some sort of audit here, what could we glean from this, Jeremy?
So, I mean, the first is again your thumbnail and your title. You're gonna see how many impressions to view. So if your impressions, are less than 5 or 10%.
Yeah.
If your views are less than 5 or 10% of your impressions, that tells me your thumbnail may not be as strong as the other thumbnails on the page, or your title may not be as strong as the other titles on the page.
Yeah.
Another thing is YouTube is absolutely not going to surface your content if people are clicking on it but not watching it for a long time.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you need to make content people want to consume, like watch for a long time. And then you need to make thumbnails and titles that are, Seth Godin calls this the purple cow. You need to make thumbnails that stand out enough. It's contrast. It's not necessarily design. If all the thumbnails on the right-hand side blend in, you need to stand out. So make sure your colors are different than your competitors. Make sure that the eyes and the face are bigger, and the contrast, the saturation, the colors, the focus, everything just needs to be 30 or 40% better and stand out more and pop more than your competitors.
Yeah. And actually, that's something we're working on here at vidIQ. That's something that we want to improve, because looking at our channel stats here, it's like 2.8% click-through rate. Average view duration is a little low. Again, as I say, that there's a little skew by the content that we produce here at vidIQ, with it being more tutorial on how to use tools, and that doesn't necessarily relate to an audience wanting to know how to get more views. We sort of, and I'm actually going to reflect this in a single video later on, how when we do produce YouTube dedicated content, these metrics change quite significantly. So we have impressions, we have click-through rates, unique viewers. This is the one that I didn't have access to when I first did a video on this, but now we have it. What is unique viewers?
So this is, you have views, right? But one person could represent 50 views on your channel. So this is unique people watching your content.
So this seems to indicate here that we have 80,000 unique viewers, 151,000 views. So people are maybe watching just under 2 videos per month, it looks like, from our content. Now, I'm still not sure whether that's accurate, because when you start to have a strong community and those people are posting comments on all videos, it's like, well, they must have watched maybe all of my videos this month or several. So as Jeremy says, that it's always not an exact science how these numbers are picked up, but it's certainly useful to know that. I guess what you want is, when you're especially when you're a vlogger, you would expect there to be, what would it be? You would expect less unique fan viewers, but far more views, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
So let's say you have you produce 10 videos in a month, and a person watches all 10, and you have 1 million views. That could actually equate to 100,000 unique viewers.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, just thinking along the context of unique viewers, how would you get viewers to watch more of your content, generally speaking?
I'll say that for a lot of channels, live videos seem to do well, especially you do a lot of live channel audits. So I would say that a lot of channels need to focus down on a few. The 80-20 rule: 20% of your fans are probably going to really love your content that you make as a creator, and 80% of them are probably passing by. It's like, it's like a bus station and people are just getting on and off the bus on your content. But then the 20% of your audience is probably going to really care about what you do, and you're really going to either entertain them or really help them. So you need to foster the community of super fans. You need to foster the community of people that love what you do and just provide them more value. So a good example on the vidIQ channel is, several people a week are lucky enough to get channel audits from you, Rob, and that is real value. I mean, if you, as someone a few weeks ago that was charging $379 an hour to do a channel audit, I can tell you there's true value there. So my suggestion would be to find ways to reach fewer people, but reach them deeper so that they can become super fans and rave about you.
$379, Jeremy. You're giving me ideas here. Okay, moving on. So as I said, we had reach viewers, which is how you get viewers into your videos, but then we have interest viewers. So this is what they're doing when they're actually on your videos. And as we observed before, watch time is that main metric. Now, here's a bit of a quiz question for all of you here. Here you can see the watch time, and you can see these peaks where there are, it goes from 6,000 to 15,000. What type of video do you think is causing that peak? Any ideas there, Jeremy?
Live videos, definitely.
I think it might be live videos. Yes, I've been noticing this metric for a good couple of months now. How, as you say, we do live streams every Tuesday, and I kind of did it as an experiment. I wasn't sure whether it was going to work, but you can clearly see from the metrics here just how powerful a particular series is and how much it can have an impact on the channel. So you can see that these big spikes every week. And this is not new data, but it feels as if it's represented a bit more clearly here in this graph.
And I want to point something out in this graph real quick. Sure. So in the middle of the graph, like around February 27th, do you notice how when you have a big spike, the normal averages are actually, like the valleys are actually a little higher for your next video?
Yeah, exactly.
So when you have a successful video, your next video is going to be more successful than your previous video. If you have 3 or 4 videos that did really bad in a row, the next video you put out is going to do bad. So if you know you have a kick butt video, wait until you're on a peak, wait until you've put out some decent content.
Yeah.
Before you put out that big hero video, that big awesome video, because what we're finding is YouTube, if you get a lot of watch time and a lot of love, they're going to automatically give you, beginning with, more visibility on your videos. And if your last 3 videos sucked, they're going to automatically like filter it down and not show as much discoverability.
Interesting. So you're saying that you shouldn't just make videos for video's sake and try and keep up consistency for that reason. Like everybody says that you need to be consistent on YouTube, but you also have to factor in that there has to be quality behind that consistency, because then you can start to produce consistently bad videos that it's almost like an anchor on your channel.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. So good insider information there. We have these metrics more or less already, but yeah, it's just interesting to see how it does divide the watch time and the average view duration into this graph. Doesn't look as if we have any metrics here to drill down into specific audience retention just yet. But once you have this information about how long your audience is watching, the final question is, who's actually watching this content? And again, we do have the unique viewers here. Let me just put that back down to 28 days. And there we have the calculator metric as well. It's saying that on average, a unique viewer will watch 2 of your videos. And this is all new information at the moment, of course. We don't have much to track on. As far as I remember, you can go to lifetime, and I think these metrics are tracked back to the start of the year at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
This may, I've just done lifetime, so this may just cause the metric to crash as it's loading up there. See if anything comes up. There we go. So NA. There's your answer. So it's been tracked back to August the 1st, it looks like, for unique viewers. I'm pretty sure impressions was at the start of this year. But yeah, because a lot of people have just got these metrics, there's not going to be too much information to go on yet. But already we can see here, certainly since the beginning of the year, we're now attracting far more of a unique audience as well, which is interesting to see, along with our watch time going up and our views going up. So it'll be interesting to know how those compare. That's one thing that I still think's missing from this, Jeremy, is that there doesn't seem to be any comparison charts at the moment. I can't pull in another metric to see how views on top of unique views compare. So yeah, we're still missing some things there. Okay. Anything more to add on the demographics for you, Jeremy?
No, I think like in for me as like a power user for YouTube analytics, comparison charts and the comparison metrics are really some of the only things I use. I think that YouTube has always done a very poor job of visually showcasing the success. And when you compare things and you have, like a baseline, a core baseline, it just gets better. So far, I love these charts a little more. I think they're gonna do better.
Yeah. And finally, we obviously, ultimately, if you are wanting to take YouTube seriously and you've built an audience, then you'll probably want to earn some revenue on that. Unfortunately, vidIQ doesn't monetize its content, so there's nothing really to view there. So what I want to look at next is the idea of being more granular with your videos. So we have, this is a channel view here, and you can see that we have a recommendation rate from YouTube of about 35%, click-through rate of 2.8%. However, what you can do is you can drill down into individual videos. So this is a good chance to show you that vidIQ is a little better than what the channel reflects there. If I choose one of the more popular videos, and people will be familiar with the monetization-ish story that came up where you need now 1,000 subscribers. I decided to do a video on that because I thought it was a trending topic. And you'll see in this video, which has just shy of 25,000 views, the difference in terms of how YouTube is sharing this content, which you should be able to see right here. So there's quite a significant difference there. I mean, how would you observe that, Jeremy? Just like looking from a channel average compared to an individual video.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much always look at the channel average. I also almost always look at series. Like I'm a big believer of making series on videos, but you always want to look for the outliers. So if you're making content that's doing 10 or 20 or 30% better than other
Yeah,
content, you're going to want to steal ideas from that content and keep on. Here at vidIQ, we call this doubling down.
yeah.
So you want to cut out the stuff that's not working as well, add stuff that was working better, and just keep on moving forward.
Yeah, and this is a good example of a more traditional YouTube video as well, in that the suggested video percentage is much higher, which is what you'd expect. But look here how much more YouTube is sharing good content from the channel. Like, it's surfacing at 70% more than people are actually trying to find it, which I think is a really good indicator of when you've produced some good content and YouTube sees that content as some sort of authority and wants to open it up to a new audience. Now, when YouTube does that, you may notice that your click-through rate goes down because it's being shared with a new audience who may not be as invested in your content. But I think if you look at it from this point of view, let's say it's shared between 10,000 people and you have a click-through rate of 10%, but then it's shared to a much wider audience of 1 million people and you have a click-through rate of 5%, you're still getting far more views from that click-through rate. And also, just another thing to note here is that the watch time here is significantly higher than the channel average, which may be another reason why your content is being shared more. So those are some of the things, perhaps on an individual video, you can pay attention to. And as Jeremy says, absolutely consider where you can put series of videos together. So like this one, we had how to get 1,000 subscribers. Also on the topic of monetization was how to get 4,000 hours of watch time. So it's a very similar video, and I produced a video on that, which I think has got a similar number of views when we just sort it correctly. So that's a 1,000 views one, and there's a 4,000 hours one. So that got 15,000 views as well, so relatively successful. And I wouldn't be surprised if the metrics for impressions and click-through rate are of a similar higher than channel average amounts. Yeah, so similar sort of stuff, and that's got an even bigger click-through rate. So maybe the fact that I put a giant clock there with some arrows had more of an impact than the subscribe button I had there. It's like, as you say, Jeremy, the thumbnail can have such a huge impact on the success of a video, and maybe that thumbnail works better because it filled more of a screen and had a clearer message in the thumbnail.
You also did what YouTube calls a tentpole event, where you took a very trending topic.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of people are not happy with the new 4,000 hours rule.
Yeah.
You took that, you did it in a very timely manner, when it was still kind of a hot topic. And, I think that has a lot to do with it. Also, the watch time is up almost 3 times of the average channel watch time. So these learnings are how a channel grows very well.
Yeah.
If you can duplicate 3 times better watch time and 2 times better click-through rates, thumbnail design there obviously was winning because the impressions to views was much, much, much greater. These are how a small YouTuber becomes bigger to become big long term.
And we've just done, on a very micro scale here, a bit of channel auditing. And so those are some of the general tips that we recommend to you if you're either using these tools or the old YouTube analytics and, of course, vidIQ ones. The last thing I wanted to touch on here was that there is now a comment section in the beta studio, and it does give you the option to heart comments and do the usual management. Still can't pin a comment, which is really frustrating from the comments section. Obviously, you can with the vidIQ tool in the old comment section, and that kind of leads us on to why you're not currently seeing any vidIQ metrics here in the beta studio, and it's simply because it still is beta studio. YouTube are going to be making lots of changes and layout changes And if we were to develop anything at the moment, some changes by YouTube could just, I guess, stop everything, and we'd have to start again from scratch. And as we understand it, there are no immediate plans for YouTube to switch over to this exclusively. And I'm sure that the Creator Insider YouTube channel has said that some of the new metrics like impressions and click-through rates are going to be rolled back into the old analytics style method of display. So I don't think anything is changing very soon at all. So that's in a 40-minute nutshell what the Creator Studio beta is like. And we're just going to go to the infinity screen for 1 second as I stop sharing, and we go back to the camera mode where we can now see Jeremy's wonderful, as he says, slightly old face. And we'll just take some questions now from you in the chat. While we're waiting for some questions, Jeremy, sum up your thoughts of the Creator Studio at the moment.
Progress is always great. Things are going to be changing. Who cares if you like them or not? I mean, that's the honest truth, right? It doesn't really matter. I do believe that YouTube, with over a decade of experience now, is heading in a very good direction. I do believe they're going to continue to frustrate everyone in the world because they're a big company and they can't please everyone. And I do believe that when they do make this switch, maybe it's the next 6 months, maybe it's a year, I think it's going to frustrate a lot of people. But just remember, YouTube doesn't owe us anything. They're the best platform in the world, in my opinion, for watching videos, and we have to evolve with them. So how do we use these metrics, and how do we move forward with the platform versus being upset about it?
Awesome. Yeah. I 100% agree with it. Like, as you say, YouTube is a free platform allowing you to share your voice with the world. Yeah. And a lot of people have been very successful at it. And the people who aren't successful at it, usually they have some sort of entitlement where they feel that they should just get views and subscribers without the hard work of actually really concentrating on, is my content actually any good? Over to some questions now. We'll start with Kronos. If you have a really diverse set of content, is there a way you can see which videos have higher click-through rate and which have a lower click-through rate?
Yeah, you can actually go through, you can individually see what the impressions to view-through rates are now on an individual video. Hopefully they'll make this screen better to where you can really just see all the videos. And all. What I would like to see on the main, like what would be the video manager page now, is I would like to see what the impressions to view-through rates are, so, and you could sort them. That would be awesome long term. But yeah, you can actually see these metrics for every video now.
I think also when they implement playlist analytics, having impressions and click-through rates on there would be helpful if you're adding a series of videos into a playlist. Tom Nash asks, thoughts about view duration times, click-through rate being the new golden standard for success on YouTube?
So personally, take this with a grain of salt. I think view duration doesn't mean anything. And let's do some scenarios here. Your competitor has a video or a series of videos that last week got 200 hours watched or 200 minutes watched. Your videos, your set of videos, or your individual video got 400 minutes or hours watched. Who wins? Who cares about if it's 20% or 80%? At the end of the day, right now, this very moment, who wins? And it's pretty simple. The channel that has more watch time overall seems to be ranking and having better visibility. So I would say, with all due respect to a lot of smart people out there, all the multivariate tests I've been doing, the longer people watch your content, the more discoverable your content becomes, and the more you're going to start ranking. If I've done a ton of tests on 20% versus 80%, and all of that, and honestly, not one time in the hundreds of tests I've done has the percentage or duration of view ever been a major factor.
A typical counterpoint complaint question to that then. What if I'm not able to produce long content, whether it's because it's like a short film which takes months to film and that can only be 4 or 5 minutes long, or I do animation that again it's such a labor intensive task. Where can I get the watch time from if I'm not producing like a 10 to 15 minute vlog which can be done in a couple of hours?
Right. So I think fundamentally, like right now, the law really is people with more watch time win. So if you have a complex product that you're making, and a lot of people, one of my former employees, Answers with Joe, he went from 10,000 subs to like almost 200,000 subs in the last 12 months. He is killing it. And his videos are very complex. It takes him almost a week to make one video. So what does he do? He started this series. I think it's on Thursdays. That's like random stuff, like how people randomly die. And, he did one recently where he's talking about severed heads. Guess what? That random content, not his main content, went crazy viral and tripled his channel size. So, so he was just also just going live once a week and, just doing random content. So the more you experiment, the more likely you are to win and succeed. What I would do, let's say I was a famous 3D designer and it takes me a month to make a awesome 3D design or a game. I would have some how-to components in how I made design stuff. I would have a answer live weekly show. So that's going from one show a month to 9, if you have a live show and maybe one tutorial. Peter Mckinnon, who's one of my favorite YouTubers, amazing quality and content. He's really just a dude doing tutorials, but he does them in a pretty cool way. On Tuesdays, he basically just gets in front of the camera and teaches After Effects or something. It's really simple, but the way he does it and the way he approaches it looks really high end. So he has these big hero videos, is what YouTube would call them, with this beautiful B-roll, but then he just does tutorials as well. So I would say you have to work within the confines of what the reality is, and the reality is watch time is the winner.
Yeah, I think I would also add to that as well that, as you say, if you're creating hero content, having the almost like the bonus videos behind it, like the commentary or the tutorials, the audience gets to know you as a person as well. And we all know that personality and brand awareness and becoming a personality on the channel is just almost as important as the content many times. There's an interesting question now here from Forged Logical. Why is it that when one video gets 36,000 views, so it's obviously done very well for his channel, but then you do part 2, a follow-up, and it only gets 100 views? What do you think to like multi-part series where it doesn't quite continue successfully after an initial spurt?
Well, the first thing I would do is I'd go into analytics for both videos. I would actually compare or look at the core stats of each videos. My guess I have a few guesses. One of the guesses would be the actual discoverability, the title, tags, description, and possible thumbnail was better on the first video. Another guess I may have is you may have published the video at an inconvenient time for your potential viewers. So you need to go into demographics to see if that was the case. But ultimately, look and see what the traffic sources was for the successful video versus your current video. I think you'll probably find some things there. You may have had a high search volume. There could have been a magazine that embedded your video, your first video. There's all kinds of ways, why a video is successful. So understand what the view sources were, understand how it was successful, and then look at that second video. You also may even have it accidentally unlisted or something silly. If it still only has 100 views, delete it and re-upload it, because obviously, the one versus the other, something happened there. Um, it could have also opened slower. So watch time immediately died, and then YouTube's going to immediately take the discoverability. And one other idea I had is, let's say you're riding a high wave of 2 or 3 successful videos in a row when you publish that first video. And then maybe you had 3 or 4 videos that didn't do well, and then you publish the second video, it's going to continue to not do well. And one question from Tom Nash: I do believe in the concept of channel authority, and I do believe in the concept that your overall videos, if they're doing well, your video that you're publishing is going to do better.
I also have one more thought on the parts of videos. I always feel as if you really push the fact that a video is the second part or the follow-on part of a previous video, that suggests to the viewer, potential viewer, that you have to watch previous parts. And it's like, oh, I'm not going to watch part 4 when I need to watch the previous part. So I almost feel as if sometimes you don't want to include which part of it is. You can maybe mention it at the beginning of the video, or like if you haven't watched this part 1, it might be worth watching the earlier part if you need to. But I always feel as if advertising the fact that it's a follow-on video really negatively affects the reach. That's always happened whenever I've tested, but that's more like a personal thought there. What else do we have then? So Jeremy, it sounds as if you're looking at the chat as well. If there are any questions,
yeah, there's one by the Dorman guy. Jeremy Vast: if you delete a video or several, does YouTube demote your channel in terms of channel authority and suggest recommended videos? I actually have some horror stories here. One of a movie company I worked with a few years ago, one of their employees unlisted 117 videos in one day. Do you know what happened? The whole channel was getting a few million minutes watched a month, went to 100,000 minutes watched a month. So it basically 90% crashed and burned. Do you know how I fixed it? I went and found those 117 unlisted videos, and I turned them back on, and all of a sudden, about a month later, everything was good again, and we were getting millions of views. So I do believe, YouTube will not agree with this, but I do believe that there is a threshold of change on a channel that will upset the balance of discovery. So my recommendation, if you need to delete videos, do it sparingly, a couple a week. Don't upset the balance of the channel more than 20 or 30% of your overall channel quickly. I've seen this type of thing happen 3 or 4 times. Also, there's really should not be a reason to delete a video. If that video is old, just put everything you can in the description and the cards. Just point people to your next video as much as you can.
I often get this question asked as well. When you actually delete a video off YouTube, does it remove the analytics for it, like the watch time and the views, or does that remain on your channel? It's like it never existed. And could that have an impact on I guess the authority of your channel?
Absolutely. So if you delete a video, or if you unlist a video, basically anything you do, if the video is not public, the views, the social engagement, and the watch time are gone. If you relist the video or make it public again, the views and engagement and watch time will come back within 24 hours typically. So I would never delete a video to begin with. I would unlist it and make sure everything's cool. And then if there was no change, then you can delete it a little bit later. But yes, any video that's not public, all of the engagement and views and watch time disappears.
Teluga143, this typical question: any tips to be suggested by viral videos? It's like you're reaching for Everest when you probably want to be trying to climb the first steps type of answer from me. What any thoughts from you, Jeremy?
Can you repeat that? I'm kind of
I think confused. It was any tips to be suggested by viral video. So let's say a YouTube video's got 5 million views. How do you get on that suggested column?
Sure. So suggesting for a viral video
I think
or
I think being attached to a viral video,
cool.
which then helps your video.
Yeah, I think that the video needs to actually be a companion to that viral video. Like you really need to think it out. Um, do not just copy the tags and titles and thumbnails because of what I always like to say is a dog can't be a cat. You can't have a video about one thing and pretend it's something else because with watch time clearly being the winner of how videos are discovered, what's going to end up happening is people are going to get to that video. It's not what you advertised it is in your thumbnail and your title, and people aren't going to watch it very long. So the first thing I would do is make a video that is good enough to be next to a video with millions of views. Secondly, I would do very similar tags, titles, thumbnails, and descriptions, but different enough to where people know it's a different thing and you're not trying to just rip someone else off. It's very important. Anyone that is close to another YouTuber doesn't usually lives in the shadow of that other YouTuber, you know. But if you're your own thing and you're coming at it with a fresh perspective, whether typically comedy works best on YouTube, but come at it with a fresh perspective. And, you know, there's been a lot of parody videos. One of my friends, Chadwell Clay, got famous by there's this weird pineapple pin goofy video, and he did a parody of that video. The parody video got over 30 million views, which was bigger than the viral video. So there are times when a parody goes bigger than the viral video, which is insane to think. But Chadwell Clay did that. If you want to go to his channel and check it out.
We always welcome parody videos of vidIQ. If anybody wants to do any submissions, maybe we'll give you a free boost trial. Brian G. Johnson is in the house as well. He's just saying hello. Hello to you there.
Hey, Brian.
Brian. I would just also add as well, if you're trying to attach yourself to viral videos, just consider the competition that you're probably up against. There's probably many other video creators who may have more authority, who are going to be trying to do the same thing. And so it's turns into one of those a needle in a haystack shooting for the moon, where you maybe want to try and be more consistent and look at content that other video creators of a similar size are producing good content and trying to get on their suggested videos, rather than trying to make a video that either gets 1 million views or 10 views, and 99.9% of the time it's going to get 10 views. So
as Brian G. Johnson says, stake your claim into something and run with it, make series. If you're chasing these big dreams of viral videos, do it less than 10% of the time. Because 100 videos with 10,000 views is 1 million views. It's so much more predictable and easy and long-term if you have a consistent schedule that you're consistently putting out good content people want to consume. Chasing and running towards the big dreams are fun, and definitely do it. You know, have these hero moments where you're having fun. Sometimes you can win big with those, but winning a lottery is not a business plan, and nor should it be your plan for your YouTube channel.
And as Brian G. Johnson also says, you dig? I don't have 2 dogs to feed, but Jeremy does have a nice eclectic mix of skateboards behind him, which probably do need polishing. So if you want to subscribe to vidIQ and try out our tools, of course, then I'm sure there's a link in the description as usual. Yeah, we're getting a laugh out of Brian there. Yeah, I hope you appreciate that little joke. And it just shows you that we do watch your content here at vidIQ. Okay, do we have any more questions? We've got a few minutes left before we say goodbye. I can't see any in particular. There's one from Speedy in saying, how do you make money with vidIQ? And I guess the broad answer to that is that vidIQ is a range of tools that will help you make your content more shareable and discoverable, which in turn will hopefully get you more views, more subscribers, build an audience where you can then monetize your content. So it's one of those questions where, how does vidIQ help me get more views and subscribers? The answer's a little more complicated than that. And if you want more information on that, we've got plenty of videos and a bit of an inside piece of information here. Stay tuned for what we're gonna some potential one-on-one stuff. Now, that's just a bit of a hint there. We can't go into too much detail, but if you're a member of vidIQ, then you may be getting some more, how should I put this, direct attention potential in the future. But stay tuned for that. A question from Forge Logicals. See if we can get one more question. If you make a trailer for a channel, how do you get the maximum for that trailer? Like maximum audience time? I guess the short answer to that is you don't necessarily want long audience time on a trailer. You want it to make an impact.
Yeah, you know, a couple of things about channel trailers most people don't realize, and you can find these metrics. Did you know that most channels have less than 5% of views that ever go to their channel page?
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah,
so 95% of the time, your viewers or more, a lot of channels, just 99% of the time, your viewers never even see your channel trailer, ever. So channel trailers are awesome. I think you should keep it 45 to 60 seconds, and it really needs to be a format like this. You show, you introduce yourself really quickly. You have like a voiceover where you're telling your mission and your statement, your brand, this is what the channel's about, and this is why it matters, while you're doing like a recap of, you know, a lot of your other videos you've done, and then followed up with, hey, if you want to learn about blank because of blank, then, you know, subscribe. And yeah, so I think it is something you got to get people excited. You got to quickly convert them and convince them. And then you need to get them to subscribe. So I think channel trailers in general are overrated. It's definitely something I would do, but less than 5% of your audience is going to see it.
It's kind of like step 10 of 15, isn't it? You've got so much more to concentrate on, and then then you get to your channel layout, which is like make sure it's branded properly and it has a good channel trailer. But as you say, as more people move to mobile, they're probably seeing the channel page even less. And with a channel intro, we actually come to the end of this live stream. Jeremy, it's been absolutely awesome with your help here looking at the new analytics. And we got a chance to communicate a bit directly with our audience in the last 20 minutes here. And it's like I really enjoyed this Q&A session. And again, this may be another idea for us as a live stream to do like Q&A sessions on a regular basis. So thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's an honor to be here, part of the vidIQ team, and keep on watching out for more of the Jeremy here.
And of course, yours truly, Rob. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you want more live streams, get the reminders. We do plenty of live streams every week, including that channel review every Tuesday, which is, personally speaking, taking YouTube by storm. If you want to subscribe, make sure you get notifications on that. Then make sure you are subscribed to vidIQ. And of course, if you don't know who we are, I've been trying to do the elevator pitch for this several times now. So, Jeremy, you're going to have to rate me on this. vidIQ allows you to research the whole of YouTube, unearth analytics, audit your channel, assess the competition, and take action on that data. Kind of stumbled over my words there a little bit, but you get the idea. Free to download, link in the description. And with that, let's now, Jeremy, see if we can get the ending phrase right. We tried this many times in Spain, and we didn't quite get it right. So, can you remember what it is first?
We'll see.
Enjoy the rest of your video making day. Right. All right. We're ready, folks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the rest of your video making day. Bye for now. We need to take more lessons on syncing there. See you later, folks.